ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dave. The other guy is Scott. I'm never sure where the hell he's at. He could be
I'm
down
always
there,
below.
Anyway,
Don't say it.
Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. Today we are reviewing Revenge of the Zombies with Manton Moreland, which is the only reason I wanted to watch this movie. I'm a huge Manton Moreland fan. I thought that it was a direct sequel to the other zombie movie,
No,
King of the Zombies, but it
it
is.
looked like it could have been, but
It should have. It probably should have been,
it should have
but
been.
it was not. I'm not even sure if the two guys that were in it were supposed to be the same guys that he was with in the other zombie one. I don't think
No,
they were, because Dick Purcell was one of the
right.
guys in the other movie, but he wasn't in this movie. John Carradine, however, was,
Yeah.
which I was really shocked by. And this is 1943, I believe.
Right.
I'm going to go through real quick the names of most of the cast. So you had John Carradine as Dr. Max Heinrich von Alftenschnucker. I don't know if that was his real last name. Gail Storm as Jennifer Rand. Robert Lowry, who was in a lot of bit parts back in those days, as Larry Adams. Bob Steele played the sheriff, who wasn't really the sheriff, who was an enemy agent, but really wasn't an enemy agent. He was double crossing everybody, and then you find out who he really is, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that works. And then we had,
We're going to talk about that.
Manton Moreland, because he was, to me, he was really the highlight of this. Veda and Borg was Lily von Alterman. And she was the queen. She turns out to be queen of the zombies, basically, is what happens. Moritz Hugo was Scott Warrington. Madame Sol Tae-wan was Mammy Beulah. Now, this actress's name was Madame Sol Tae-wan. That was the black lady. That was
that was her name. She went by Madame.
It was her real name. And I'm like, why didn't you just use her real name? Because that name was a lot more badass than the name you gave her as a character.
I know. It was, yeah.
And when your name is Madame Sol Tae-wan, I'm going to take a wild guess and say you know a little bit about voodoo. Total speculation on my part, reading her name. She may have been telling them, hey, no, that's not how the zombie would work. It would work kind of like this. It would kind of work like that. You guys are, something tells me she was correcting them a lot along the way. And James Baskett as Lazarus. I think that was the main.
That was the one, the guy with the kind of the white.
Yeah.
He was kind of like the lead zombie there.
Right up until Veda and Borg shows up.
Yeah.
And starts taking control. Let me, because I kind of turned you on to Manton Moreland. What did you think about this?
Okay, so I feel Manton was done dirty in this movie. I really do.
Yeah.
We got two movies here. Well, the movie I want to see was Manton Moreland moved off to the servants. We could have all of that going, but that becomes the B story. The A story is Manton, Rosella, and Madam What's Her Name going through this. They're the ones with the chemistry. We get to the other part of the movie. It's silly. It doesn't work. There's a lot of hand of God moments that just tie the story back together. And it's like, what'd you do? Write this in over lunch and just get everybody together? I mean, Manton is funny. Now, this is what I got to say. I love Manton, but his delivery is so great. And there's one scene where he's like, I got to go home. I forgot something. And it's like, what'd you forget at home? He's like, to stay there,
Yeah.
Or they're like, maybe you're seeing things. And he's like, I am seeing things I don't want to see.
He has some really good lines.
He has the best lines. And the reason I say he's done dirty, he's barely in it. He's not. He's the best part of this is a 1 hour movie. Thankfully, it's just a 1 hour movie. There's some good stuff here. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to dog it a little bit, but I couldn't help but watch this and think of Lovecraft's Reanimator. Um, I got more of a
I
Reanimator
can see
vibe from
that.
this
Yeah,
than a
I can see
zombie
that.
thing. Which, you know what, Lovecraft wrote this probably before wrote
Right,
Reanimator before this. So, uh, yeah, it just I wanted more Manton. If
right.
you're a fan of Manton, I think you should watch it, but I don't think there's a lot here. It's almost the same setups as the movie we watched before.
Mhm.
He gets off with the staff. There's the Manton always finds
Right.
the pretty woman, and of course he's all googly eyes. You know, we'll get married. I'm already
Yeah,
talking marriage.
at
I
the
love
end,
this guy.
I'm
He's
going to
so
get you a
funny.
job and get you a place. And she goes, if I get a place and get a job, I don't need to get married. And he just
Yeah,
looks at her like, yeah, I don't think so.
yeah, yeah. It's not a great movie. It's not a great movie, but I've seen worse.
Oh, yeah, I do agree that this should have been, in my opinion, maybe 20 minutes longer and more Manton.
Mhm.
Everything with Manton, like you said, Manton, the cute maid, and Madame Beulah works really well.
It does. It
Another
does.
part that worked really well is when what's the character's name? Lilla von Alterman, which is Beta and Borg the blonde.
Yeah.
When she finally just gets up and leaves, and the main bad guy, the main antagonist, John Carradine, is worried. He's trying to figure out, okay, what?
Let me mention something. This is the most gorgeous zombie I've ever seen.
Right, right,
And her smile, which
going up the
she's
stairs.
dead and she smiles multiple times, that you know she's in control. She's a good
Yep.
actor, and she just lights up the screen. And it's like, I see why she was there. So,
And I don't know much about this actress. She looks familiar, but I couldn't tell you if I've ever seen her in anything
mm,
else. And I watched a lot of old movies over the
right.
years, and she looks really familiar, but I don't know whether she's been in, if she got to be a big name back in the day or not. What I liked was it was kind of a twist on most zombie movies of the day, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't see zombie movies like this where the dead person takes control, can get their mind back and takes control and goes on. She winds up taking control of all the other zombies. And real
Ex-
quick, folks,
oh,
in
wait,
case
wait.
you
Let me.
don't
Oh,
know,
sorry. Go ahead.
Scott and I, we spoil every movie.
Oh,
I should
yeah.
have started out the show like that. We
This movie's
spoil every
almost 100
movie.
years old. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
80 years.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
About
yeah,
80 years. Yeah.
yeah. There is a movie that's over 100 years old that I want us to watch, and
We
we'll
will.
talk about that in a minute. But when she takes control, Carradine's character is like, he thinks he's still in control
Mm-hmm.
until she calls all the zombies to go and get him. And he realizes, oh, damn, you know, you belong to me. And she's like, yeah, no, you can't hurt me. You can't kill me. You can't do this to me. And you can't stop me.
I
You
love
don't
it.
control
I love
me.
what she does. She reminds me.
Yeah, that ending
Oh,
for him.
that was good. It was good. I was getting
Oh,
a lot of,
so
for some
good.
reason, I was thinking on The Bride of Frankenstein watching this somewhat. Um, but I really go to Reanimator because that is also where you see a character take control of all the zombies
Yeah,
and still have
yeah.
his mind, even though he didn't have his head. I'd carry his head around.
Oh my
But
God, what a
and
bad.
that's I kept getting such a Reanimator vibe watching
Uh,
this, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. But yeah, I don't know where I was saying. But
well, I like whenever
it is
Carradine runs
different.
away, he runs up the stairs towards the end of the movie. He's trying to run away from her and the
Yeah.
zombies, and she just starts walking after him. That wherever they're at, she knows no matter what, she's going to find him. He can't outrun her. They don't get tired. So they're all going upstairs, and Lady Beulah, I think, yells to her, and she just turns around. That's when she turns around and just gives her a smile, like a
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude,
half
it's
smile.
great.
Luna,
I, I would have loved to have seen this restored. Unfortunately, I watched it on YouTube because I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Right, right. It's a little
And it
grainy.
was what I found, and there might be a better copy. This was really, really hard to see, really hard to hear.
Oh,
I would love to have seen this cleaned up a little bit better, but hey, it's the only
no.
place I could find it.
I would love to get the rights to all of Manson Moreland's movies and clean them up. This guy,
Yes,
they've got a lot of folks. If you go see a Manson Moreland movie, if you watch one of them on YouTube, there's a lot of them on there. I recommend it. I highly recommend Manson Moreland. There, I
he's
forgot
wonderful.
what company put this one out, but I think it was the same company that you and I were talking about at one point, that we were surprised that Manson Moreland's name was bigger
Yeah.
than his white co-stars. And I'm
And
not
that
sure if
was
this is the same company or not, but I had read recently that one of the companies that he worked for, did a lot of movies for, were very good to the black actors and actresses of the day. They they made sure they got good billing. They made sure they got paid well. They took care of them. They tried to get them to where they could probably pay their bills, for lack of a better term. They didn't do the Chitlin circuit routine where, you work for me, but when are you going to pay you? At the end of the day, that kind
yeah,
of crap. They took care of them. They really liked Manson Moreland from this article that I was reading a few weeks ago. I forgot when I was looking them up. It's probably because we were going to do this movie. And
yeah.
I just came across it. Was just one of those articles where they say, in this production house, you know, took care of them. They did a lot of black movies
hmm
with a lot of black actors. And a lot of, Hollywood wasn't doing it back then. They're reversing their move now, but they're still just as bad now as they were then, which
hmm
explains all the problems that Hollywood's having today. And it's a real shame because those actors were really, really talented. The girls that they had in there were beautiful.
hmm hmm
And the lady Beulah, the lady who plays Lady Beulah, I could have seen her in a bunch of parts. So I don't
hmm
know how many movies that they all work together. That
Oh,
girl looks
probably a
really
lot.
familiar. I'm sure she's been in a couple of Charlie Chan movies with Manson,
Yeah.
along the lines, along the way. But I thought it was really interesting that there was at least one company that was like, we don't care, we're going to make movies, and if you don't like them, don't come sing them. And they were a pretty good house, from what I
Yeah.
understand, to work for everybody, not just
Yeah.
blacks, but blacks
Right.
specific. So
And
I thought that was pretty cool.
there's so many actors back then, black actors, and just Manton Moreland's one of many who just kind of paved the way for anybody can be a superstar now. Now it's
Yeah,
like, no big deal. You get Denzel, and well, look at that, and look who came before him, and that's what I
yeah,
love seeing is these these actors really paid a price. I guarantee they
yeah.
weren't getting paid as well as everybody else. They would probably had
No,
separate
no, not at
dressing
all.
rooms pushed to the back. There were, I guarantee, still just blatant racism right in their face day to day. But
Oh, sure.
they got to do what they wanted, and they didn't let that get in the way of it. And it's a lot of courage and strength there. I thought it's inspirational to me to see people push through that and pave this way, man.
And it's really sad to me that you hear a lot of actors and actresses and rap stars and people sit there and try and badmouth guys like this, and people that were doing all the black exploitation movies and stuff back in the day, trying to make them sound like,
They
uh,
were crawling so you could walk. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, they what they would call, like an Uncle Tom or a
mhm.
Step and Fetch, and it's like, motherfucker, without them, you wouldn't have a job.
No.
That would be like me downgrading my grandparents,
Mhm.
from coming over from Slovakia and, trying to badmouth them because they were chicken farmers and they had to run away for their lives. Yeah, they didn't do that. I wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
To me, that's that
I
same
know
kind
it's a
of
weird,
marketing.
weird
So,
mentality.
yeah, so whenever somebody starts badmouthing, I usually hit them with a little bit of history and they just look at me like I'm insane. I'm like, hey, you can argue with me, but you're going to be
hmm
wrong. You know?
and
Sorry,
that's
I do know a little bit of history. I don't know as much as a lot of people, but I know a little bit.
well, this is one of the things that I've noticed as we delve into these really old movies. Um, we're seeing women as equals. We're seeing
There's no
black
problem.
people black people elevated, not quite equal, maybe in
Right,
some, but at least elevated more and given a little more prominence. So this is back in the 30s and 40s that we're seeing
right.
um, something that we're trying to get back to now. Why? What the hell happened?
Yeah, and that just disappeared recently. That wasn't like this until recently. And I'm not going
I
to start
know,
getting political, but it
right?
was,
No, and we
you
don't
know,
need to, but yeah,
it was his character. Any movie I've watched him in, he's always maybe like you said, not an exact equal, but a lot of characters aren't treated as
no,
equal. Like if
but
you go through
he's
the Three Stooges, you don't have equals in the Three Stooges. You have
mm,
Moe, then you
mm,
have Larry, and then you have
yeah,
Curly or Shem or Curly Joe. There is a
yeah,
hierarchy there. So that's where the humor comes from. That's where the humor for Manton comes from. If he was the absolute equal or the guy in charge,
right.
I don't know if it could be as funny because you have to
Probably
have a
not.
certain amount of
It is the situation that makes it funny because he is
yeah,
the
yeah.
chauffeur,
I'll
and
give you that.
I will
He's the
say
smartest one.
he is the smartest one. Manton, in every movie I've seen him in, he's me.
Yeah,
He's that's who I'm watching the movie through because I'm the one
right.
who'd be freaking out over seeing dead people. The white guys, they're secret agents, which we find out later. And it's like, who wrote this shit? And
Yeah.
then,
Where did
you
that
know,
come from?
what the hell? Oh, sure, great. Next thing you know, there's going to be a nuke. I mean, so I'm surprised that wasn't there, Dr. Oppenheimer. But anyway, my. But it's because I relate to him because he's the one freaking out. He's the one who's scared. He's the one who's like, I ain't doing that. And it's like,
He's the one who's
th-
looking at the white guys going, we should get the hell out of here. Let's get out of here. And the white guys are like, no, we need to stick around.
and that
No.
is a horror movie trope that holds to this day. Dark, scary basement, white guy goes down. Black guy's not, so
I
it's
did
like,
like that there was the one scene where they're at the door. They get to
uh-huh.
the basement. Everybody's going down to the basement to get to the doctor. And they're all like, how are we gonna get in? And Manton grabs an axe and he's like, I've been waiting for this moment. And he just starts hacking that door. He's going through that door. I was like, good for you, Manton. You go. He got fed up. He wants to get out of that damn city or area. And the only way to get out of that area is to stop the guy because he knows the guy
Yeah.
that he's with won't leave until they stop him.
And every time he finds a body, they disappear. Come see, and there's no body. And it is funny. It's just like, wow.
Well, the one joke with that actually paid off, but I
Yeah.
wish it
Yeah.
would have been a better joke payoff was whenever you find out the one guy who's playing the sheriff who was playing a secret agent for like some
He
enemy
was a
country.
double agent.
Then you find out he's actually an American agent. You're like, okay, now wait a minute. And the one guy says, "Well, we just keep seeing these dead bodies." He goes, "Oh yeah, that dead body in the car was, so and so. That's the guy that I had to kill." Oh, hold on, my old lady's calling me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
One of the things that I found really cool though is knowing the history of Manton with the Stooges and then watching
Right.
this, there's so many opportunities where I see him as a stooge. And I keep expecting a stooge like response from him. And it's like, wow, this is why Mo saw this in him. And it's like this.
Why Mo wanted him,
Yeah,
and he would
he,
have been
he,
perfect.
he would have been perfect.
Like I
There's a
said,
universe out there where this happened, and
yep.
I want to reincarnate into it. And that's all I'm saying.
I want to get those films from that universe. I want to
Yeah,
watch that. That
I want to
Manson
see that.
one with the Three Stooges, not Curly Joe Besser, not the other guy that everybody hated, but
Yeah.
he had a contract, so they put him in there with the Stooges. I forgot what the hell that guy's name was. Little wanker. Um, man, Manson Moreland would have been perfect.
He would
I
have
don't
been.
know how,
He would have been.
and he would have played a perfect, third wheel with those guys. He'd have been
Yeah.
just as good. I think he would have been just as good as Curly. I really
And
do.
and the joke would have been he was a brother as well.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. How funny would have that have been?
That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have been great. Missed
Manson Howard,
opportunities.
Manson Howard.
Oh, that would have been perfect. That would have been perfect. So funny. He would have fit right in. He had the
Oh, yeah.
sensibility, he had the great comedic timing, very physical actor. I love the guy. I want more. So
In some of the Charlie Chan movies, he does double speak. There will be
mhm,
another black actor that comes in and they'll start talking, but neither one will ever finish a thought or a sentence. The other guy will finish the thought and sentence kind of for him,
mhm.
but it'll be an answer. Like Manson will be
Right. I
like,
got you.
"Hey, did you ever see?" And he's, "No, I haven't seen him for 6 months.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
oh really? Over by the yeah by the cabin." And they just go back and forth, and none of the it's never a complete thought or a complete sentence, but you know that they each know what the other one's talking about, and they'll be like, "Well, I'll see you later." Yeah, okay, and they walk away, and it's like that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish they
Yeah.
would do more of that in the movie we just watched, but it worked. Like
It
you said, they didn't have enough him in it.
they didn't have enough him in it. They didn't they had a comedic genius sitting right there that could have really pushed this movie, and
Yeah,
they didn't. And this is almost a rehash of the last movie we watched. It had a lot of
yeah,
similarities. I enjoy watching him. I didn't enjoy this movie that much. I would probably
right.
watch it again if I can find it cleaned up. I'll watch it again because I'd really want
It
to
was
see it nice and crystal clear.
it was a really good twist ending though for me,
Oh, I love the
especially
ending.
for the time
Yes. Oh, it was
for her to
brutal,
not only
man. It's
take
like yes,
control but then drag him down with her.
got vengeance, vengeance,
That
big
was just
time.
like
And it's like,
that's brilliant. I mean, that was like creepy. I can't imagine people in the theater at the time.
do you realize? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
I
off.
was just going to say because back then that didn't happen. Those
Right.
types of twists didn't really happen all that much.
Well,
You know?
that's what I was going to say. Is at its core, this is a very feminine, positive movie about you will not
Yeah,
control me. I have
right.
my own mind. I don't need you. And
Yeah,
this is 1943.
yeah.
Very
But
nice.
I don't think whereas watching a movie like this doesn't bother me. If they
Mhm.
did a movie like this now, they would be
Well, that's
hammering
just it.
that.
That's what I'm saying.
All
It
the
was very,
actresses would be talking about it. All the woke actors would be, the pretend feminist soy boys would be screaming about it, and the
it
movie would
was,
tank at the box office. No matter how good it was,
yes.
it would tank because they all opened their mouth instead of just saying, "Hey, we did a good zombie movie and it's kind of funny. Go see it."
Yeah. And making that, because I made that decision on my own. Nobody had to hit me over the head with it. It's like, oh, nice allegory.
Exactly.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
why it works.
That's why it
That's
always
why
works.
it
That's,
works.
you don't have message.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
We know the message is there. It sinks in naturally and it becomes normal. But
We
hey,
were we were talking about was it White Chicks?
yeah.
Where we were saying there was messages in there, but you're never really beat over the
They
head.
never
It's just
really,
funny.
which,
It's
yeah,
just all done with
they're
humor.
there. Yeah. And that's
Right,
what's,
they're there.
I never saw it so
Godzilla.
much, but yeah, of
Yeah, yeah. Godzilla minus one had messages, but they weren't
course it did.
beating you over the head with them. And God, I'm going to buy that thing when it comes out of Blu-ray,
I
and I'm
can't
going to keep
wait. I
tissue
cannot
right
wait.
next to me because I know I'll cry again. And I
Yes.
didn't cry. Well done.
Oh, I did, but there was only one other guy in the theater, and I made sure he couldn't see me when I went to the matinee. But I almost asked him, "Bro, you crying over there because this is
Are you
rough."
crying? You're not crying.
What I'm sorry. I will
Oh yeah,
evangelize Godzilla minus one till I die. It
oh
was
yeah.
a great movie. But back to the zombies. Check it out to check out some early cinema. Matt and Moreland is always a treat.
Yeah.
I say watch it.
There is, I say, absolutely watch it. And what I want to talk about, I want to keep it private. We can talk about it here. Um, there is a movie I saw what they call a tracking shot.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was on Instagram and I sent it to you. And the name of
Yes.
the movie is Wings, and it's from 1923. It's the first motion picture to win Best Picture for the first Oscars ever done. I want to see this movie. Just basically for that
I
one
definitely do
shot where
too.
they're tracking through the crowd. And it's amazing when you see this shot. And I
It's
started
cool.
watching a few minutes of it. It is on YouTube. So if anybody's out there, I don't know when we're going to get to watch it. I don't know how long the movie is. Whenever Scott and I both sit down and say, yes, we're going to watch a silent movie,
It's coming.
because I
A
find
few
it
of them.
sometimes hard to watch. But yeah, I want to do this just for the cinematography that is amazing. The air show, not the air show, but the fighters, the double winged plane. They got cameras mounted on the plane. So when we talk about things like uh, Tom Cruise and learning to
Mhm.
fly the jets, these guys were flying planes back
Yeah.
then
Yep.
in the
Yep.
20s to get this
Isn't it
movie
crazy?
made and
Anything
crashed
for the picture.
them.
Oh God, I know. Well,
It's not like
there's
they
a
had
lot of
props.
bad
They
things
crashed the
then. Yeah.
goddamn. How are we going to get this shot? Just crash the plane. Okay.
Yeah. But
You know?
that tracking shot, when I saw that, I was instantly taken to Goodfellas
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
coming through the club. And it's just
Yeah.
going when he's taking her out to eat. And it's like, Scorsese watched that. I know he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that's exactly what it was. Like, oh shit, here's the Goodfellas scene, but the original.
And I
So,
was sitting there thinking about like how many people stole that tracking shot.
oh, everybody. Of course they would. Why wouldn't you? So,
Yeah. And I want to see what else was taken from this
yeah.
movie because it's got not Clark Gable. Can't think of the actor's name. When you see him, you'll know him, and we'll talk about him.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of his first early movies, and I never knew he did silent movies. I thought the guy only did talkies. I can't think
Ah,
of his name right now. When we watch the movie, we'll discuss him a little bit too. But this movie looks good. It looks like an
it
interesting,
does.
and
It
it
does.
is
We will
over
definitely put
100
it
years
in.
old, and we are old ass movies.
It refers
Nothing
to
but
us
good.
and the movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely got some silent movies coming up. But we talked about Metropolis and some others. So we'll try and get into some more vintage this year. I really want to take it older. We will still jump into the 80s because that's one of my favorite eras. But stick around with us. We both recommend Matt Moreland any way you can get him. But we'll have something else coming up for you next week. So please hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, tell your friends, tell us whether you like us or hate us. Drop us a line. Appreciate it. And thanks for watching, listening, and we will catch you next week.
Cheers.